Have you ever just stopped and wondered how your brain does it? How it takes in this just absolute chaos of information every single day and somehow turns it into a world that makes sense? Well, that's what we're going to get into, because the answer is all about this incredible concept called schemas. Think of them as your brain's own internal blueprint. But to really get it, let's start with a little puzzle. Take a look at this picture. It's a cow, right? So why on earth would a little kid, seeing a cow for the very first time, point and yell horse with total confidence? Is the kid just wrong? Well, not really. And the real answer is so much cooler. It's not about being right or wrong. It's actually a perfect little window into the amazing, super efficient, and yeah, sometimes kind of flawed way our brain works by creating these powerful mental shortcuts. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, your brain's internal filing system, or as psychologists call them, schemas. So what in the world is a schema? The simplest way to think about it is as a mental model. It's a pattern of thought your brain uses to organize everything it knows about something and how all those things relate to each other. It's all built from your memories and everything you've ever experienced. The legendary psychologist Jean Piaget had this really great way of explaining it. He pictured schemas as a giant filing system of index cards inside our brain. His whole idea was that when we're born, we've only got a few cards in the box. But every time we have a new experience, we add a new card or update an old one, building up this massive, interconnected library of knowledge. And look, this filing system isn't just for one thing. We have all different kinds of schemas for pretty much every part of our lives. Let's run through a few of the most common ones. So we've got person schemas for individuals. Just think of the huge file you have labeled My Best Friend. Then there are social schemas, which are basically the unwritten rules for how to act, like being quiet at the movies. Self-schemas are all about us, our identity, who we think we are. And event schemas, which are often called scripts, are like little movies in our head for how things are supposed to go. When you go to a restaurant, you have a script. You get a table, you order, you eat, then you pay. It just makes the world feel predictable. But here is the really critical part. This mental software, it's not set in stone. It's constantly getting updates as we learn new things. So how does that actually happen? Okay, so there are two main ways our schemas change. The first is called assimilation. This is the easy one. It's when we just slot new information into a folder that already exists. So you see a Great Dane for the first time. It's got 4 legs, it's furry, it barks. Boom, it goes right into your dog file. Simple. But the second way is accommodation. And this is what happens when the new information just doesn't fit. You either have to change an existing file or create a totally new one. And this right here is the answer to our puzzle. That child saw the cow and tried to assimilate it into their horse schema. It's big, 4 legs, lives on a farm. Makes sense. But when a parent says, no, sweetie, that's a cow, they have to accommodate. They have to create a brand new cow file. And just like that, their world gets a little more complex. Now, all of this sounds super helpful, right? And for the most part, it is. But schemas are a total double-edged sword. They are incredibly useful shortcuts, but they can also be the very things that lead to harmful stereotypes. On the one hand, we absolutely need them. Schemas are what let us simplify the world and process just massive amounts of information almost instantly. Without them, every single moment would feel brand new and totally overwhelming. We'd have to figure everything out from scratch every single time. But, and this is a big but, on the other hand, because they are shortcuts, they can make us filter out anything that doesn't fit with what we already believe. And in some pretty scary cases, they can actually distort what we see and what we remember. And yeah, not quite literally. Your schemas can actually change your memory of something that happened, and you won't even have a clue that it's happening. This was shown perfectly in a really famous psychology experiment. So in this classic study, people were told to wait for a few moments in a room that was set up to look like a professor's office. Later, they were asked to remember everything they saw in the room. And the results were wild. A whole bunch of people remembered seeing books on the shelves, which totally fits their schema for an office. Except there were no books in the room at all. And even weirder, most of them completely forgot about the things that didn't fit, like a human skull just sitting there on the desk. This tendency we have to see what we expect to see, and to just completely ignore what we don't. Well, that's the exact same mental process that creates and holds on to prejudice and harmful stereotypes. Here's exactly how it works. Say we hold a general belief, a stereotype, about a certain group of people. Then we meet someone from that group who completely shatters that stereotype.
Now, changing our schema takes real mental work. So, what does our brain often do instead? It takes the easy way out. It either labels that person as an exception to the rule, or, and this is the scary part, it just misremembers what happened to make it fit the stereotype. There was a study that showed kids with strong gender stereotypes, when they were shown a picture of a man washing dishes, would later remember seeing a woman washing the dishes. Their schema literally overwrote reality.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? What does this mean for us? And how can we use this to be a little bit smarter in our own heads? I think the most important thing to remember is this. Our schemas are the mental maps we use to find our way through the world, but they are not the world itself. They're amazing, useful tools for sure, but they have serious blind spots. And honestly, just knowing that your brain uses these shortcuts is the first biggest step towards stopping them from leading you down the wrong path. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. Knowing that every single one of us relies on these mental blueprints, it's probably worth asking yourself, which of my own maps, my assumptions about the world, about other people, or even about myself might be a little out of date?